It's time now for sports. We say hello to Simon Harding.
Good evening, Francois.
European qualifiers. We're now into, well, day two.
Day two, France host Iceland, at the Stade de France this evening. We will be crossing over to Kerevan Gorjestani in just a moment. Before that, let me give you all the latest, however, from this evening's fixtures. In Group A, leaders England travel to Montenegro in what Gareth Southgate has described is going to be a hostile atmosphere for the Three Lions players. Kosovo, Bulgaria, the other match in Group A. In Group B, Luxembourg welcome Ukraine. Portugal play Serbia. Cristiano Ronaldo will be back for the Portuguese, who are looking for their first win in this qualifying campaign. In Group H, Andorra take on Albania, and Turkey have already kicked off against Moldova. The score there at half-time was 2-0. Without further ado, let's cross over to the Stade de France, where Kerevan Gorjestani is following proceedings for us. Kerevan, Les Bleus stroll past Moldova on Friday, but Iceland should be much more of a challenge for Didier Deschamps' men.
Yes, it's definitely going to be a much harder task than beating Moldova, and much more physical team in Iceland than the little Moldova. Iceland, who of course we remember from the Euro 2016, where they had knocked out England in the last 16 before being beaten here at the Stade de France by this French team. They had broken out onto the world stage at that Euro 2016. They followed that up with a first historic qualification for the World Cup 2018. So it is definitely going to be harder than Moldova, but the French are still the overwhelming favorite. They are, of course, the world champions. They are in a different class than Iceland, and Iceland are also no longer the team they were back in 2016. They have secured just one victory in their past 16 games, and that came just on Friday against the little Andorra in their first game of these qualifiers. So the Icelandic team struggling a bit to return to that glory, the 2016 glory, but they will be difficult to maneuver. They will be physical to maneuver, and the players and Didier Deschamps, the coach himself, they all said that basically the key would be to play their game. If Les Bleus play their game, play at their level, there shouldn't be any problem. If, on the other hand, they struggle a bit and they don't get to scoring very quickly, then the Icelandic team might pose a little bit of a challenge.
Well, it should be a cracking game there for Kerevan. Kerevan, I'd like to ask you also about the expectations surrounding this French team. As you said, of course, world champions in the summer, but they didn't qualify for the final stages of the new UEFA Nations League. Is there pressure on this French team to keep delivering at the highest level?
Yes, of course, there is quite a bit of expectation, as there is for any world champions, to continue delivering those results. And of course, it's always a little bit tougher because everyone wants to beat a world champions, and that's going to be true of Iceland tonight. But Les Bleus, as you said, failed to qualify for the final four of that Nations League, and that was really the first mishap in their road after the World Cup. It kind of brought them back down to earth a little bit, if I can say so, because they were still on that high, that World Cup high after in that Nations League, and it caused them a little bit of a problem. And so this time around, they have a lot of expectations, but they also know that they need to focus much more on these games. And Didier Deschamps said it before that first game against Moldova. He said that every single game will be very important. They have 10 qualifiers, and each one of them will be important, even if it's against Moldova, even if it's against Iceland. This group is not a very tough group, but they will have to remain focused and not take their opponents for granted, to respect their opponents and play their game. This is something that has come back very often, and they know that everyone is waiting for them. This will be their first game at home in France in 2019, and the fans are coming here to watch the world champions, and world champions should not lose, should not draw. They should win, and win with some goals.
Kerevan Gorjestani live there from the Stade de France. Thank you very much. We'll be back with you throughout the evening. Well, next, a reminder that the qualifiers for the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations are over. We now know the 24 teams who will be heading to Egypt this summer. In that list, we have the usual favourites to win the competition: Senegal, Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria, Cameroon, and of course, Egypt. But there are also a few surprises, teams such as Burundi, led by Sadio Berahino, who qualify for the very first time for the final draw. Uganda also beating the odds to make it. The draw for the group stages will take place on April 12th in Cairo. New England Patriots star Rob Gronkowski has announced that he will be retiring this year after a 9-year career and 3 Super Bowl titles. The tight end is a 4-time first-team All-Pro and 5-time Pro Bowl selection. His stats include 521 catches, over 7,500 yards made and 79 touchdowns in 115 games in his career. He also added 12 touchdowns in his 16 postseason contests. He is regarded as the best tight end to ever play the game. Gronkowski said his dream came true during the 2010 NFL Draft, and he also thanked the fans, teammates and the Patriots for making his dream become reality. Francois Gronkowski, who's certainly going to go down as one of the all-time greats.
For sure. Many thanks for that, Simon Harding. And we'll be back with Simon later with all the latest from those Euro qualifiers.